You know I'm calling your name. Just gonna give it a minute, guys. Then I come on. Guitar. Gonna spit a lot tonight, guys. Got a lot to talk about. Should be my new theme song. Oh, Wooga! Fade. You guys are awake and alive in the chat tonight. That's hilarious. I'm reading some of those comments. That's just too much. Let me get my big silver pecker over here. All right. What's up, guys? How are you? Good to see you all. Ralph Dean, good to see you. I did see where you said you had to step away for a little while. I get it, dude. Man, I got mosquito bites on my ankles, guys. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to not do this the whole night. I'm like a dog. Man, that shit feels good when I scratch it, though. I'm itching for my scratch. All right, so ran out of beer. Tapped into the son-in-law's beer in the outdoor fridge. Butt wiper. This is the famous butt wiper beer. We know of no beer produced. Let's say our exclusive Beechwood aging produces a smoothness, a likeness, and a drinkability you'll find in no other beer at any cost. But it will give you the shits. Let me tell you that. So cheers. All right. Sorry. Good to see you guys. Thanks for popping in. Popping in on Monday. Man, my shit is itching. I know you guys. Never mind. Bad joke. All right, I'm going to stop thinking about my itchy freaking ankles and get into it. So I've had an interesting day. Not crazy. Not any of that. Interesting. I got up today. I made a couple trades. I posted a couple trades, and then I put on my work shirt. And I went out in the yard. And you guys, I tore my shit up today in the yard. I was cutting the crabapple tree. I was trimming bushes. I was trimming the front yard bushes. Just getting it pristine. You guys already know why. I've been a busy man. But while that was happening, QAnon, Q, was dropping some earth-shattering truth bombs on my shit. I'm sorry, look at me. I am down here itching my shit. Man, those skeeters got me, man. Little blood-sucking bastards. So Q was dropping earth-shattering truth bombs. Let me just count how many. You know what? I'm gonna blaze through them very fast, as fast as I can. I'm gonna blaze through them. And there was a whole shitload yesterday too, a whole pile. Good to see you all. I see every one of you in the chat. I'm not gonna do a roll call right now. I'm gonna go through these real fast, and then we'll jump in. We'll have a little fun. How's that? Because isn't having fun fun? Just saying, can be. So let's do that. That we're gonna do. All right. So Q out of the gate. Q out of the gate says, was Nazism ever truly destroyed? The answer to that, guys, is no. Refer back to my talk to you about fascism, which once World War I and World War II ended, people say, oh, America won. Oh, actually, no, you're wrong. Germany won. Hitler went to Argentina, blah, blah, blah. Guys, it doesn't matter. Fascism is what won and came out of those wars. Okay? Just saying. Was it merely a subdivision with a larger organization? Certainly was. It's called fascism, right? Remember? Socialism. And then you had the Fabian. Remember all that? I get myself worked up. I'll start going down that rabbit hole. And I don't want to do that tonight. I just want to touch on these because a lot of stuff is happening. I was going to say shit, but a lot of stuff is happening right now. There's monumental pieces of information of truth bombs that are being laid out. And you guys, I'm gonna go channel Bill circa June, July 2018. So we're gonna go back like 3 months. I'm gonna start talking to you about how you're gonna need to be there for your neighbors because maybe I was a little bit premature. I've been known to be that, but I think it's like here. Okay, it's almost here. It's like I usually I'm going to steal a line from a movie, but yeah, for me, I'm premature and I usually play the game just the tip, just for a minute. Let's see how it feels. I've always been early and often, and then kind of lose, wanting to do it after it becomes like a thing. But here I'm going to revitalize and channel my early and often. So, was it merely a subdivision within a larger organization? Something like Antifa, something like that? Anti-fascism? Abso-fucking-lutely. Sorry to cuss. I will try to keep that on the 10-second sidebar. I'm trying to get my language and use my adjectives without using cuss words as adjectives. And that's not always easy. But anyway, going forward, One finger attached to a hand. Yeah, well, that makes what? That makes a fist. One finger attached to a hand, one curled up makes a fist. Did Antifa organically form? No way. That's a product of George Soros. George Scrotum Face Soros. The flag design, is it a coincidence? No, it's identical. It's identical flags. One is spelt in German and one is spelt S-P-E-L-T, spelled in English. Socialist push in the US/worldwide. Coincidence with a question mark? No, absolutely not. Global power struggle. You bet. There is a price we will not pay. Yeah, we won't. We will not pay that price and let fascism, which derives from socialism, which derives from Marxism, we will not let that go forward. Nope. I mean, there was a time very recently where we would have let that go forward. That time has passed. That time has passed, and we have the incredible patriots that are behind the Q movement and are behind our dearly beloved President Donald J. Trump for 1020. We're not going to let it happen, and they're not going to let it happen. So it says global power struggle. Yeah, well, it's turning out to be less of a struggle than it was going to be. I mean, it's a struggle, it's a fight, we're in it, it's a war of sorts, but the good guys are winning, and winning feels phenomenal. There is a price we will not pay. I already talked about it. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. I think we're at that point right now. They're not going to advance. You're starting to see the tide turn. Now, if you listen to CNN or MSNBC or any of the jokers that are in the mainstream television, with the exception of Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham, because Shepard Smith ought to have a freaking bullet put in his head. What a complete tool of the deep state. And he's not alone. He's in good company. There's many on Fox. But that lineup at night between Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, they are sprinkling out the truth bombs to the American people. Guys, I've got another humongous storm coming through tonight, so bear with me if it starts blowing up. My dog's a little bit a little shaky. She's a little bit scared. So Q references a couple things, says we the people. All right. There's all this information about the Bureau leaking information with Bruce Orr. Now, Bruce Orr, who is married to Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr, if you're not aware, is part of the DOJ and was responsible for the connection between Christopher. That was his point of contact. That was his guy. Was Christopher Steele and Bruce Orr. Bruce Orr got questioned today in seclusion on Capitol Hill and probably answered a lot of questions that would absolutely destroy the fray of our democracy here in the United States. I mean, everybody knows it. Everybody that's awake freaking knows it. We all know what happened. But this gets into your everyday garden variety Joe. Okay? Joe the plumber, who thinks he knows everything about CNN or gets all of his information from CNN and thinks that Trump's a POS and, Stormy 24/7, all that crap. Just unbelievable. But for those of us in the fray that are in the know, we know. So, next Q post. It was delivered at 841 Q says something incredible is about to happen. Guys, that's a big statement. Hassan Rouhani, who is the leader of Iran, but technically, you guys, I don't know if you're aware of this. He's kind of like the puppet government. He runs the day-to-day operations that are in Iran. It's still run by Khomeini. Khomeini was like 80 some odd years old. He's the ultimate voice there. But there was a bit of a public outcry against Rouhani, Hassan Rouhani, who is the elected leader of Iran. But seriously, it'd be like if George Bush Sr. had the final say of any policy that Donald J. Trump put out. We don't have that here, but that's to put it into context so that you can understand that's how that works. Is that Khomeini is the head thread, okay, in Iran. But anyway, the good people of Iran have the power. Fight for your freedom. Q's letting them know right now. Right now, the tables have turned. Things are about to shift. And guys, there's massive Q drops today. I think it's to reinvigorate everybody into the movement, everything that's going on, so that you say, you know what, I allowed myself, just like you, Ralph. And believe me, you took your break. We all took our break. That are here sounding off. Listen, it was difficult. It's been difficult. Life kicks in, things kick in. But I think by the sheer amount of Q drops yesterday and today, Q is saying, listen, time to wake up. Time to get that popcorn ready. Time to get that butter ready to drizzle on your popcorn, because it's time. And it's reinvigorating because there's moves that are being made. There's no question, guys. There's moves that are happening now. Like now. I think that the death of No Name, if you don't know what that is, ask somebody in the chat. But No Name passing away was a marker. It was a marker in the Great Awakening deemed by Q. That once that happened, and I can give you the million reasons why that's credible and all that, but we can go into that like tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Okay. No Name passing away was a marker to transition into the next part of the Great Awakening, and it's happening. The amount of Q drops that are dropping are evidence that it's happening. So let's proceed. So the good people of Iran have the power. Fight for your freedom. Now, at 11:56 this morning, FISA versus INSCOM. No fornication, or no foreign. NSA, INSCOM bridge. FISA equals FISC. Who is accountable to Congress? The civilian body. Well, have to move on from that. Some of these answers I don't have yet. Define state secrets. Process of obtaining a FISA warrant. Now there we can get into it. It takes any number of head honchos to sign off on a FISA warrant, which means they have substantial evidence to launch these warrants. This one so happens to be when they bugged Trump Tower, and Trump was there. So understand that this all comes from the fake dossier between Bruce Orr, who was a middleman. I mean, he's not anybody of credible anything, and Christopher Steele of MI6 UK. Somebody had to sign off on that. Now, there's only a certain number of people that could sign off on something like that. There's a strong intuition that someone initials were JC. Former head of FBI, James Comey. And if it wasn't him, then it was Andrew McCabe, who was the assistant head director of the FBI. And so on, and so on, and so on. Right down to Rod Rosenstein, who is the Assistant Attorney General of the United States. These signatures from these scumbag piece of shits are on these FISA warrants that were allowed to happen to do not only the Russian dossier, but to allow the Robert Mueller investigation to launch and coincidentally move on. Because if you don't know this, that signature on the FISA warrant is only valid for 90 days. And after 90 days, if nothing's been found, it has to be re-signed again for an additional 90 days. It's prolonged. And after 90 more days, it has to be re-signed again for an additional 90 days. These scumbag, treasonous, seditious sons of bitches who tried to take out a duly elected president without any information, without any evidence, shows that they are guilty of treason on the highest form. They can smile, they can be nice, they knew that if Donald J. Trump got elected, they were done. Done. And by the way, they're done. They are done. That's what's starting to come out in the mainstream. So let's proceed. So that's the process of obtaining a FISA warrant. It just so happens that this was done all under complete bullshit and lies. So what must be demonstrated to be granted a FISA warrant? I just went over it with you. I mean, proof, right? And who must sign off? That's the next one. I already told you that. Pretty much your head threats got to sign off on that to launch it. Can select individuals in senior positions of power be shadow banned from active FISA warrants? Well, I think so. I think what it's saying is that somebody that is available to sign a FISA warrant, that even though they signed it, it can be shadow banned from other individuals that would be able to sign it. In other words, it would keep everything quiet. They don't have to disclose to maybe patriots that maybe aren't completely compromised, that they could shadow ban it from them from even looking at the information. I think that's what it's saying. Immediately after that, it says national security. All right, so then it says sufficient evidence shown to demonstrate rogue elements, i.e. traitors, rogue elements of intelligence apparatus illegally violated FISA law in coordinated efforts with domestic and foreign allies to impact or modify the outcome of the 2016 presidential election and safeguard against the future. Uncover criminal prosecution. I think I've already covered that, but I think this just said everything I just said. And then it says, who must sign off on the FISA warrants? I already answered that. Head director of the FBI or the CIA. I mean, these head people that were bought and paid for by Hillary Rodham Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. Bought and paid for. Totally. And who directs the signers? Well, that can be left up to interpretation. I think it'd be safe to say that it's maybe the people that don't want to go to jail, who have shit piles of power. I would say that. Yeah, let's go with that. So given the magnitude of the spy campaign, U.S. presidential election, Republican Party nominee candidate and the president-elect and the president of the United States Would Hussein be required to direct the order with a question mark? Do we know who Hussein is? It ain't Saddam. It's your 44th. Well, for now, it's your 44th president of the United States. What it's saying is that it's asking the question while giving you the answer. The answer is no, that it couldn't be done without the signature of that traitorous, backstabbing, seditious Manchurian candidate, cock loving, man marrying, no kids of his own having guy. That's what we're being told. That's who signed off also. Who has access to PDB? I don't know what PDB is, and I haven't put a whole lot of time into this, guys. So, but these are follow-up questions to saying that would Hussein be required to direct order? So these are follow-ups. So I think that it's further showing that, yes, it would take BHO number 44, Traitor 44, that it would take his signature on a multitude of things to even let it continue and keep going. So I believe that these are follow-ups. Moving on. Could FISA warrants be issued or active for numerous in the news now future U.S. targets? Could FISA warrants be issued or active for numerous in the news now future U.S. targets? There's probably a lot to that answer, but the answer would be yes, because Q wouldn't be asking it if it wasn't yes. Because if you went no, yeah, the answer is yes. Foreign tangent required to obtain warrant to spy on U.S. Original. I don't know. Define projection. What is known? Connections them to Russia or other facets or other false assets. Who commands INSCOM? Who commands no such agency? Which that stands for NSA, no such agency. Who has ultimate command? Q. I would say that's President Trump. These are rhetorical questions that I haven't broke down, but I think they are basically to show the collusion is what it's showing, but not with our president. It's showing the collusion of the deep state minions who are ready to take over the country and the world and to saw your head off and to strip every possible right you have in this earthly experience right out from under you. So there's that. Now, next Q drop. Define treason. Well, the definition of treason is the offense of attempting by overt acts to overthrow the government of the state to which the offender owes allegiance. There's more to this, but that says a lot right there. Or to kill or personally injure the sovereign or the sovereign's family. Guys, there's a laundry list of shit that they've tried to do to the president and his family. I mean, everything from the back rotor on personal helicopters flying off 10 feet into flight, which thank God nobody died, but right down to the 3 attempted assassinations of our president, which if you're not familiar with that, do a little research, you'll see it. Yeah, there's been 3 that we know of, that we've been told of. And then it says, define projection. What is the penalty for treason? That's a big question. That's an easy one. The penalty for treason is death. Yeah, it is. And I like some of these later Q drops, you guys. I like them because Q actually speaks with some of the anons that ask questions. Now you have to understand, for every Q drop that is said, every single one of the Q drops that's said, there is a myriad of different replies and responses that the anons and everybody make to it. Q cherry picks the question and sticks it up that Q wants to answer. And there's a couple of these coming up, and I think they're really, really interesting because it goes from giving you, putting these pieces together as Q often does, is that it humanizes Q, and it humanizes where we're at. And that is why I'm feeling very rejuvenated in what's going on. And I'm going to get to that in a second. So let me just scroll down and I'll do it. How are you guys? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. All right. Q went out of its way to specifically say defend Google at all costs. Yeah. And then there's like 100 different links that talk about like basically banning shit on Trump and all that stuff. I mean, there's a war on the freedom of information right now on public platforms, you guys. You know this. People are shadow banned. They are wiping out channels. They're doing all of that. So Google to be regulated. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube with a question mark. Yeah, they're all going to be they're trying to regulate them. These people are stupid. I always love that. Censorship with no consequences? Question mark. How do you set a trap? Q asked. Well, you open the door and we shall always walk through and take control. Q. All right, next one. All right, this gets into Hassan Rouhani, who I told you is the leader, in theory, of Iran. But specifically linking that individual to this next question should raise some questions inside of you. So Hassan Rouhani, and then Q says, who paid Hussein to attend Harvard Law School? Who is Prince Alawid bin Talal? Well, that's one of the rich as hell princes that are from Saudi Arabia. So they're saying that these people collectively or singularly put their money in to pay for Trader 44, BOBHO, pay for his education at Harvard. He didn't pay for it. So why did they? Why is the major question here. And Q says, why would Prince Alawid bin Talal, who is a Saudi royal, pay Hussein to attend Harvard Law School? Well, I answered that in a tweet actually with somebody, and I said that I would submit to you that that was done because I think this guy has been being groomed, and that, yeah, he had the goods, he had the smarts to get into Harvard and that kind of stuff, but what they really needed is they needed for their Manchurian candidate to have the right school, to have the right T's crossed, the right I's crossed, in an effort to get the support to become the president. Because keep in mind, it's all about taking away your rights and everything. This guy has probably been groomed from his mid-teens, and he might have been on a list of multiple people around the world or that were supposedly Americans that they could have used. Yes, pawns. Yes, Robert Nozella, pawns. But maybe he wasn't alone. Maybe he was the best pawn out of the pawns that they had spawned. I swear to God, I'm not trying trying to make this poetic, but maybe the best pawn to have spawned out of all the ones they had out there. Maybe. I mean, that's unclear, but it raises questions to say, why would they pay for his Harvard education? It was to get the right school, the right class, so that this traitorous son of a bitch could make a presidential run. And I submit that's why these multi-gazillionaires put that guy through college. That's my 2 cents. Then it says, who is Valerie Jarrett? Well, I mean, she's involved with number 44 and what's going on. Her heritage is Iranian. She's at least partial Iranian. And it says, when did Valerie Jarrett hire Michelle Robinson? Michelle Robinson is AKA Michelle Obama. AKA, never mind. You already know. Michelle Obama got a little stink on his hang low. You already know that. But I ain't going to go down there. 1991. So, who is the mayor? Richard Daley. Well, that was the former mayor of Chicago, 2.5 hours south of me. Who is mayor current? Rahm Emanuel. Well, that's the current mayor of Chicago, and he's doing a shit job between you and me. There's a lot of people getting fucking killed there, and that ain't cool. Now comes some really, really earth-shattering statements by Q. Q says, Hussein, all in caps, should be very nervous. Brennan should be very nervous. Kerry should be very nervous. Merkel should be very nervous. So we know who Hussein is. Brennan is John Brennan, the communist former director of the CIA. Kerry, ketchup man, married the chick from Heinz. Pretty lot of money there. Merkel, that's Angela Merkel, leader of Germany. And Q goes out and says they should all be very nervous. That's big, man. That's big. It's just big. I'm sorry. Those are all 4 heavy hitters and names. And then Q asks, how many pallets of cash were divided? How many planes were used to transport? Who operated the planes? What shadow agency directed operations? Why wasn't the money simply wire transferred? U.S. had authorization to open bank-to-bank transfers. How do you prevent financial logs? How were the cash withdrawals in the U.S. categorizer labeled? All right, I'll go to that in a second. But those last 6 questions I asked is that they basically printed the cash and flew it over. There's no log. There's nothing that routes the money to any individual. The reason you don't do it is that you have no record of wire transfers, which means that you don't have anybody to pin it on, unless, of course, you've been following it the whole time and you're part of the NSA and you have these answers. I mean, if Hillary had been elected, we wouldn't even be asking these questions. I mean, this would have been covered up under 6 feet of dirt wherever it needed to be. So, moving on. I'm telling you, Q dropped a bunch of bombs today. Oh, in fact, my God. All right, I'm gonna move forward, guys, to the part where Q was talking to actual individuals. Oh my God, there's so many Q drops today. I ain't complaining. I'm just saying. But the reason for that is that it's happening. It's happening. The Great Awakening is happening. People are going down. And listen, I don't know if that means tomorrow or 1 week or 6 weeks. Probably not 6. I would say like 1 to 2 weeks max. Somebody has taken the thread from the sweater and started pulling it, and it started unraveling. And somebody, instead of pulling it, grabbed it with both hands and jumped off a cliff with it. And that thing's gone. Brrrr. That's happening right now. That sweater, that sweater is unraveling bigly. And there's no way it couldn't be, because there's no way Q would drop all of this if that weren't the case. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. But I digress. I will proceed. I want to read what you say, where Q answered a couple of specific people's questions. All right. So now, mind you, I told you Q cherry picks whatever Q wants to answer specifically to. So, and Anon wrote this. I am isolated with my husband, and thank God our dogs. To our family, we can't even mention the president's name. So we don't, but it hurts so much. We will stay strong. We try not to become bitter and angry. We are prepared to help and to answer when the time comes. I know they need us more than ever, especially my oldest, because she studied so hard to get her job in your country. These people, I know this in advance, guys, are from the Netherlands. So these aren't Americans. This is somebody that's from the Netherlands saying this. Because my oldest studied so hard to get her job in your country. I know for sure that she is not a liberal, brainwashed person. My other baby is an autist. I think it was supposed to be artist. I don't know. And she asks me questions over the news coverage and why they all tell the same, and that's where it ends, same story. Please, Q, I must say this. You, the team, and POTUS is President of the United States, POTUS for short, are so very loved by us. God bless you from the Netherlands. Now, Q read that and decided to reply to it and said, you are not alone, patriot. You are part of history. Guys, as are you. Okay. We're all part of history. Never in our history has this been attempted. God bless you and your family. Stay strong. Stay the course. Where we go one, we go all. Guys, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And there was a couple more drops after that, but then Q didn't reply to somebody, but Q felt necessary to put this out and say, like Q's talking directly to us and says, Patriot, a little perspective. Patriots are dying to defend this great country and the freedom she provides. Children are being kidnapped, tortured, raped, and sacrificed in the name of pure evil. Stay the course. We are fighting deeply entrenched enemy. Think Lisa Barsumian. 2018 will be glorious. Q. Well, Lisa Barsumian is Rod Rosenstein's wife. They don't have the same last name, but she's been defending basically every deep state legal problem over the better course of like 15 years. That name, that's like the one that defends. Well, that's the Assistant Attorney General Rod Rosenstein's real life wife. And he's as dirty as she is. But I like that. Like Q is reaffirming. And then I'm going to read you one last thing here. Well, all right, I'm going to read you two last things. They're very short. Somebody said, Amen, Q. For those of us who have stayed the course for 20 plus years, we have gone alone. We have stood firm in the defense of truth, yet many of us have very few friends and couldn't do much in the real world. The penalties for speaking up for truth have been severe for decades, and I've lived life in the shadows. It wasn't worth speaking out until now. Thank you, Q. Q plucked that nugget of somebody saying that and decided to reply to it and said, the world is now united. History books. Fake news suppression creates a false reality. This movement is bigger than you can imagine. Silent majority, no more Q. Can you feel it, guys? I mean, can you feel why it's time to start? Like, you've taken your breath. You've gone back. It's been a little quiet. Things have been crazy. The deep state mainstream media has been just shoveling shit full of crap on the president. And Q is coming out now and just like, and then another Anon replied and said, "Will be glorious," with a question mark. "In my humble opinion, sir, it already is." Q plucked that nugget and decided to reply to that and said, "In our opinion, until those responsible are dead and or suffering, it shall remain will be." In other words, Q ain't spiking the football. No. And then again, somebody said, "That's great, but where's the arrest?" Now keep in mind, these are being posted on the Q boards out of all the hundreds of different replies that are being done. Q is plucking these out and saying, "I will reply to this, and I'll take some of that, and no, I don't want that. That's icky, and I'll reply to this." The next one said, "That's great, Q, but where are the arrests?" Q decides to reply to that one and post it and said, "Patriots fight. Read, comprehend, use logic. Q." He's letting that Anon know that dickweed, without saying it, is that, I mean, that's all I've heard from these BS people from the day he took office is, "Well, he had to arrest Hillary and this and that." Listen, it's not part of the plan to come out on day 1 or 2 and start taking everybody at the head. I mean, they only get one shot at this. One. There's one opportunity to let this plan work itself out because, as I've said before, you have to root this out of the world. You can't root it out of America. You can't root it out of China. You can't root it out of Israel. You can't root it. You have to take it all down in one massive swoop. But a lot of shit has to happen, guys. And we've been going through this. We've been dealing with this. We've been breaking things down. We've been getting to know each other. We've been getting to know a lot about each other's character. We've been getting to understand a lot of things. And Q has been getting to learn a lot about all of us. We are on the doorstep, in my humble opinion, with these kind of drops and the responses that Q is coming out with. That, guys, it's time to wipe the sand out of your eyes and say, okay, I'm refreshed, I'm ready. And I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you, but I'm ready. These drops with this kind of speak have got me just revitalized like you can't believe. And I think going back to my original comment is that with McCain, that name we don't say, passing on, it was a marker to enter into the next part of this plan. It's happening. I don't. If you don't agree, that's fine. But it's happening. It's absolutely happening. And to dispute that, you've got your work cut out. I mean, other than to just say, "I dispute it and I don't believe it." Okay, well, that's emotional. That's absolutely emotional. When you take fact and you let fact be your North Star, you're going to have a pretty good argument based on fact and your own personal North Star to disprove any of this. It's absolutely too coincidental on all fronts to be a coincidence. It's happening. So I'm here to wake you out of your slumber. And then finally someone says, Q, so what's up with Assange? That's Julian Assange. You know who that is? He was the original founder, owner, whatever, WikiLeaks. You ever heard of WikiLeaks? China, WikiLeaks. And Q decided to pluck that nugget and say, I'll reply to that. Q said, do you remember that our enemies are also monitoring this board? See the above. Reflect. Use logic. Q. Which Q said, Patriots fight, read, comprehend, use logic. I mean, oh my God. And another person said, I mean, Q was like replying to your average Joes that are asking questions. Somebody said, boss, it sure was lonely before you came along. Q meaning, thank you guys for taking these risks and concocting the plan. We are all in this together and we are all right here for this purpose. Love you guys. I couldn't agree with that more. And Q replied and said, no one person is above another. I like that. Why does the fake news media put so much time, energy, and effort into attacking a so-called conspiracy? Those who are attacked the most are the biggest threat. Logic wins every single time, Q. And I love that because I put logic and fact together in the same bed. With logic, you're going to get to the facts. So that whole statement was to that person where they said, we're all in this together and we're all right here for this purpose. Love you guys. And Q says, no one person is above another. Why does the fake news media put so much time, effort into attacking a so-called conspiracy? Those who are attacked the most are the biggest threat. Logic wins every time. It's huge. And he replies to another anon. And somebody says, thanks for selling treason. Thanks for selling all of our secrets to the highest bidder, Hillary. She should be locked up. Q plucked that nugget and said, I'll reply to that and said, you didn't think military planes were falling out of the skies all within a short period of time just by chance, did you? Outside of the standard deviation? Q. That's rhetorical. Q is just simply, absolutely simply verifying that this person talking about Hillary selling our secrets was absolute treason. By referencing the planes and the multiple plane crashes that we've seen, not just in the last month or two. Forget those. I'm talking about the ones where, like, pilot bails out because his F-15 or his F-16 or his F-20 or his F-18. I mean, it didn't matter. They ran the gambit. I mean, we had multiple military planes that were just like, fuck, and they were bailing out of these some bitches because the technology to overtake these, it had been sold. It had been colluded. It was traitorous, and that was part of the plan, was to get her into the position where Trump is. They weakened our military. They absolutely were weakening our military so that we couldn't fight. We could fight some. That's why you hear Trump talk about basically the shit craftsmanship that was happening in the U.S. steel. I mean, we were getting Chinese steel, we're getting this and that, and he doesn't blame these other countries for playing ball. I mean, we're the big dick on the block being the USA. So if this is all you got out of the last 30 years of this is how the U.S. does business, well, who is the world? We're the U.S. dollar, man. I mean, play ball or get the fuck out of here. They had no choice but to play ball. They weren't happy about it, but they were going to do things that allowed their countries to thrive. And that's why they played ball. Guys, we rebuilt China in an effort through the Obama administration to build their currency up so that it could compete with us, because they were trying to take our currency down, and stealing Apple, and building knockoff apples. And I mean, just, it goes real deep, deeper than I want to go. But I like the fact that Q is talking to us directly by talking to people asking questions. Here's something that Q put out that nobody asked and said: bigger than Watergate, biggest scandal in U.S. history, crickets. I mean, I just read all that to you, and we spoke about it, and it's crickets. And then it says fake news. Their agenda is not getting to the truth. You already know this. Tell, lie, vision. Programming for a reason. Program your mind. So biggest scandal in U.S. history is what we are witnessing and have been witnessing. Crickets. Nothing to see here. Fake news is desperate to shelter the truth. And then Q says, define shelter: a place giving temporary protection from bad weather or danger. Q. Well, fucking A right it is. It is too. Oh. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And if you're watching this later, thanks for being here. I didn't read the chat, and for that, I do apologize. But it's going on 59 minutes. And I don't know. I just felt like I had to go live and get this out. So I didn't know how it was going to come out. I hope it came out good. I hope you got something out of it. And I will be back. I'm rejuvenated. So I'll be back tomorrow night. I'm just going to be. So that's all there is to that. God bless you all. Love you all. Don't forget to pray. Keep praying for this nation. It's good. It's good for us. The plan is coming together, and it's time that we put our arms around each other, rise up, and we see this through, because we are witnessing the rebirth of our country and the rebirth of the world, and we are watching evil get its dick knocked off it, and I, for one, love it. And so anyway, I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you tomorrow night. All right. God bless you all. We got work to do. So Bill Michelle out.